Hi, this is Meg. Welcome back. I am excited to do a new tile with you today, and I'm going to do some work on a 3Z tile from Zentangle. Here's the box they came in, and I'm using a white 3Z tile. And my standard materials, which I've discussed before, a Micron 01 pen, a Zentangle pencil. If you haven't seen my generals, chalk in Van Dyke Brown. That's a really nice tool for antique-y kind of look. I'm not sure if I'll use it today, but we'll see. My Tortillon, I brought my white pencil out too because sometimes when I do a little antiquing, I like to use the white to highlight. So those are the things I'm using today. And what I'd like to do first is take a deep breath and get present with this tile. I like triangles. Triangles are one of those shapes that are universal in countries, different cultures, and they have this sense of security and stability, right? They're this straight, flat bottom part, and what a strong shape it is. So I'm going to start with a deep breath and gratitude for this beautiful material that I have to work with today, and it's not raining outside. And I'm going to start with some corner dots on this one. And I'm going to draw a pretty straight line, I don't know, about a ½ centimeter from the edge. I'm using my pencil for this because I'm just trying to sort of define this space a little bit, not necessarily draw something that I'm going to be able to see later. In fact, I hope to not see it later. It should blend in after I'm done. The next thing I'm going to do is try to mark about where I think the middle is on each side, like that, and then draw a pencil line from each of those lines in like this. So what I effectively have now is 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles inside of this larger triangle. And I'm going to be tangling with the same tangle in each one. And it's such a beautiful effect. I know you'll enjoy learning this one. It's one that feels almost like a trick. It's the same straight line over and over, but the way that it comes out is super three-dimensional and really complex looking, and gives you just so much to appreciate about the process. So I'm going to start with this one here in the middle. And I'm going to draw my first black line from this middle point straight across to this middle point. And then I'm going to turn my tile and do the same thing here. Nice and slow and deliberate, without holding my pen too tight, without getting too stressed out. Just a nice straight black line. Next thing is I'm going to do a line from my first corner down to the side of the next. And the way that I keep track of this, and it's really important to keep track because otherwise you end up with a design that kind of doesn't make sense. When you mess it up, you'll understand what I mean by that. You know, even though there's no mistakes, it just won't give you the effect that you want. So if you want to have the effect of what this is going to look like, then you have to keep track of which side is the point and which side is the side. And by side, I mean a place on the flat side. So let me just show you what I mean here. I draw a straight line from this point to this side, like that. And then I turn it and draw a straight line from this new point to this side. And turn it again and draw a line from this point to this side. I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm trying intentionally to keep these things kind of the same width, if you see here. It's not necessary per se, but the more kind of symmetry that you have in this particular process, the more the effect will be one that you were what you were aiming for. So I just sometimes keep saying to myself, point to side, as I go around so that I don't lose track of where I am and what I'm doing. Point to side. Keep going like that until I've finished that all the way and I get to the middle. And I'll admit that once it gets really small, I sort of trust myself at this point to figure it out, and I go like this. Line, 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 line. And just finish it off without having to turn it. But that does take a little practice, I'll be honest. So I'm going to do the very same thing in another triangle. Start at the top, make a straight line down. Over here, same thing, following that original line, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And then top to side, top to side, point to side, point to side, point to side, just like that. And I continue around, point to side, point to side. And I'll do another one starting at the top to the side here, finish off this triangle, and then start here at the corner, point to side. There we go. Now you can already see the secondary pattern that is showing up, and it is so cool. This is just one of my favorite tangles to do. Now I'm going to start back here at this corner and pull that down here and pull it down here and go corner to side. You might wonder if it matters which corner you start on, and it both does and doesn't. The answer is, and the reason is because the secondary pattern that I'm getting is kind of intentional, or at least repeatable, if you always start in the outer corners after you've done the first one. If you start at different corners, an inner corner or a different corner, you're going to get a different secondary design. And I can't explain that any differently without showing it to you, and I'm not going to do it on this tile, but if you try it yourself, or if you already have done it, you'll see that your secondary design is different. And frankly, it's a lovely secondary design, and I would do it on purpose too. But you would want to do it usually, you know, for the whole tile versus just a part if you've done it by accident. So play around with this tangle and see what happens when you start at different corners when you've got triangles next to each other, and you'll end up getting a different design. And it's beautiful. It's a fan. And let me see if I can explain it. When this part here lines up against another one just like it, you get a fan. And it's beautiful. Maybe preferable to some. So what you have to do is make sure that your side lines up with another side like that. And so anyway, it's just a different process. And this one comes out with this secondary design of these things in the middle. And I love that. And then also the depth of these three. I want to do something around the border of this. It's not just a triangular thing. I like to add a little bit more to it. So I'm going to just start with a circle here and a circle here and a circle here. And then I'm going to fill in between those circles with circles of different sizes. I kind of like that organic nature of them not being all perfectly the same, especially when I have something so precise in the middle. For me, I think that is interesting. It adds a lot of visual interest. So I'm going to do, small one, a large one, a small one, a medium one, large one, small, medium, just back and forth, kind of alternating the sizes of those just for visual interest and entertaining myself. You could do them all the same size. It's entirely up to you. There. You can see them lined up along that edge. And I'll turn and do the same thing down this side. Remember to breathe and don't hold my pen too tightly. Just think about each stroke, each circle, nice and slow, not thinking about the next one or the next one, but just the one I'm doing right now. That circle is the only circle that matters when I'm making that circle. Let your mind wander where it will, and notice where it wanders when you're doing this type of work. There we go. Next side. There we go, all done. Yeah, I like that. Now I think I'll put a dot inside each one of those where I have room. Different size dots. Bigger in the bigger one, smaller in the smaller ones. Again, it just adds a little visual interest and weight, and it's also something else for me to do on this tile before I finish it. It's a pretty fast one, all things considered. So maybe this is one I would have done, or I would do in, waiting in the doctor's office. All the way around. There we go. Almost around. Almost don't want it to end. Ta-da! Okay, wow, yeah. See how that just pops off the edge? That looks cool. So now I'm going to do some shading on this, and shading is sometimes where this one just pops and comes to life. So when we're shading, I tend to focus on what is further away and what is closer up, closer to me. So as an example, where these all come together, it appears further away or deeper. And this feels like it's the highest thing to me, the top, so to speak, closest to me, and as if this curves a little bit. And so I want to emphasize those things because that's what's naturally happening here and can really, benefit from more emphasis. And so I'm going to start with laying my graphite down here in the middle. I don't have to be very careful with it, just a rough fill that in because I'm going to be spreading it out. Same thing here, and I kind of do it in this, not perfectly in a particular part of the triangle space there, but just a little messy in there. And then I'm going to go around the outer edge of these shapes, where I feel like I want to emphasize that part is going over the other part. Yeah, see how this lays on top of that, and this is on top of that. And I'll turn it and keep doing that where it looks like it has an over and under feel. See there? This part feels like it goes over. And this part here, and here, and here, and there. Yeah, I think so. And let's start with that. I'm going to take my tortillon and I'm going to go in the middle here and really just spread that out a little bit in this part, right in there. And then I'm going to take that where I've shaded and just pull it down like that into this bar shape. Same thing here, pull it down like this. And then pull this into here. And make this really solid. Pull this down into here. And same here. Can you see that effect that we get with that? Isn't that nice? It's amazing. You feel like, it feels like a trick. See? Oh yeah, it's really working. Yeah, see there? Look at that. Wow. Really cool. Looks like it's woven in there, doesn't it? Yeah, I love that. Look at that. Did I get it all? See? And you do want to keep some contrast. It wouldn't look so three-dimensional if there was an equal amount of graphite smudged everywhere. It would start to get kind of muddy. So it's important to have some really dark places where depth is clear. It's obvious that this is the deepest spot, and this is the deepest spot over here, and so on. And so those dark places where you really laid it down and you thought there would be too much, you can see that that contrast is really helpful and somewhat necessary to make the illusion work. You see there? Now, I'm going to do something with this edge now where I'm going to shade it around the bubbles with the side of my pencil, kind of messy, a little bit rough. You see, just tucking my pencil into those little spots. And not get too worried about accuracy. I'm not really trying to put the pencil on top of the dots. I want to keep those as white as I can, or pure kind of as I can, but I want to get this graphite out here because I'm going to smudge it outwards towards the board, towards the outside of the piece. And so I want there to be enough there to work with. And like that. Okay, and I get back to my tortillon, and now I'm going to push the graphite into the edge. See, like this. Just push it off. Yeah, see here how that, let me get that back here where you can see it. See how I've sort of smudged it, and it makes the whole thing kind of pop off the page now. Don't forget to breathe and enjoy the process of making this come to life. There we go. Look at that. It might be a little hard to see the, let's see if I can get a good, well, it's a little hard to see the effect of that based on the lighting, etc. But I think you can appreciate that. And the last thing I'm going to do is antique this a little bit, which is to use this pencil that I have. I've decided to use this Van Dyke Brown General's Pastel Chalk Van Dyke Brown pencil, and it just has a nice sort of tan, well, it's sort of sepia colored is what you get. And I'm going to put it around this edge like this. Just color in barely where it's white there. I'm also trying not to smudge too much by touching the top, you know, because all that graphite that's now on it, and my fingers are going to start getting really messy and gray, but yeah, see, now I'll smudge that in a little bit like this, and you get this nice, really sort of antiqued look. It looks very, it's got sort of a sepia tone to it, and then it's sort of interesting to see, you know, you'd be surprised how often you have to look at the back to see what color was this paper that I started with. Was it a Renaissance, you know, beige paper? It's one of the colors that we use a lot in Zentangle, and I'll do some videos on Renaissance paper in the future. It also takes very nicely to the sepia tone kind of pencil, and also use of white, and so it'll be fun to experiment with that another time. Anyway, there we go. Look at that. It is cool. Look at that. You could hang it on your Christmas tree. You could make it a place card for someone at a table, put their name on the back, and then when they sit down, they'll see, you know, an original Zentangle, and for so and so, and your beautiful design on the other side. Wouldn't that be clever? I hope you've enjoyed this. I've sure enjoyed making it for you and with you, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. That's what helps me get more followers and keep making these videos for you. Plus, it tells me that you enjoyed it, and that's really important feedback for me. Thank you again. Have a great day.